What if the scariest stories weren't made up and but pulled from real life? A knock at the door when no one should be there. A shadow in the hallway that vanishes before you can turn on the light. A scream heard, but never explained. Tonight, we're not telling ghost stories. We're recounting 10 true horror tales from people who lived through something they couldn't explain and never forgot. They weren't looking for fear, but fear found them, in their homes, on the road, in moments that began as normal and ended in nightmare. These stories aren't just eerie, they're a reminder. The line between ordinary and terrifying is thinner than you think. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen closely. Because the truth is always the most frightening. Imagine driving into a darkness so thick it feels alive, where every shadow hides a secret you're not sure you want to know. My name's just another delivery guy, working the night shift at a small, family-run pizzeria in Kentucky, where the air hums with the scent of fresh dough and bubbling cheese. Our shop isn't much to look at, a squat brick building on the edge of town, but it's the heart of this place. People swear by our pies, claiming they're the best in the county, maybe the state. I don't take credit for that. I'm no chef. I just drive, weaving through back roads to deliver steaming boxes of comfort to folks who need it most. But some deliveries, they change you. Some nights, they make you question what's real. What sets us apart isn't just the food. It's our willingness to go where others won't. We've got these delivery cars, sleek Toyota Priuses with heated seats that keep the pizzas warm even on the longest hauls. Competitors scoff, saying we're fools to drive so far, but I know their real reason. They're scared. Scared of places like the halfway house, a crumbling old building tucked away in the boonies where ex-cons and recovering addicts try to piece their lives back together. Feel that chill when you think of it, a place caught between redemption and ruin where hope and despair sleep in the same bed. I loved those runs, though. The guys there, rough as they were, had hearts bigger than their rap sheets. They tipped generously, their crumpled bills handed over with stories of hard weeks and harder lives. Sometimes, if my shift was done, the supervisor would wave me in, and we'd share a slice under the flickering porch light, swapping tales like old friends. I'd driven out there dozens of times, each trip a ritual of warmth and connection. But rituals can break, can't they? One wrong move and the familiar turns into a nightmare. Let me tell you about another night, months before, to set the stage. I delivered a stack of pizzas to the halfway house, and one guy, a grizzled ex-thief named Tom, told me about his time in lockup. He'd stolen cars, he said, but never hurt anyone. His eyes gleamed with pride as he described hot wiring a sedan in under a minute, but there was pain there too, a longing for a life he'd never get back. I listened, pizza box balanced on my knee, and felt a strange kinship. These men weren't monsters, they were just lost. That night stuck with me, a memory I carried like a talisman. Hold on to those moments because they can trick you into thinking you're safe. On the night it all went wrong, the order came in late, well past the dinner rush. A single 12-inch pepperoni pizza to the halfway house. Odd. They usually ordered enough to feed a dozen men, but a lone pie wasn't unheard of. I grabbed the thermal bag, the pizza's heat seeping through, and slid into the Prius. The drive was a descent into darkness. Narrow roads flanked by skeletal trees, their branches clawing at the sky. The headlights barely touched the shadows, and the world felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. Have you ever felt that? A quiet so deep it's almost alive watching you? When I pulled up, the halfway house was a silhouette against the night, its windows black except for a faint, sickly glow from the porch. Something's wrong here. You feel it, don't you? A figure paced in front of the steps, his movements jerky, unnatural. Freddie, the receipt read, I stepped out, the gravel crunching under my boots, and called his name. In the glare of the headlights, his face was a mask of bone and shadow, pale as death, with eyes that flickered like a trapped animal's. His fingers tore at his neck, leaving red welts, and his phone glowed in his hand, pulling his gaze like a lifeline to something I couldn't see. He's not right. You know that look, the one that says someone's already gone? Hey, Freddie, I said, my voice steady but thin, like it might crack under the weight of the night. He nodded, barely glancing up, his eyes locked on the phone screen. I unzipped the bag, the warm, greasy scent of pepperoni filling the air, and held out the box. Paid through the app, right? Here you go. I'm real sorry, Freddie whispered, his voice a rasp, like it came from somewhere deep and broken. Sorry? What does that mean? Before I could make sense of it, his fist exploded upward, slamming into the pizza box with a force that sent it smashing into my face. The cardboard crumpled, the heat of the pizza burning my skin, sauce and cheese smearing across my cheeks. I stumbled back, my vision a haze of pain and stars, the world tilting like a bad dream. This isn't real. This can't be happening. But Freddie was already moving, his wiry frame charged with a strength that wasn't human. Another blow grazed my temple, the pizza box softening the impact, and a sharp jab to my ribs stole my breath, sending me sprawling to the gravel. He's not stopping. He's coming for you. Freddie shoved past me, his footsteps pounding toward the Prius. I'd left the keys in the ignition, a stupid habit to keep the headlights on, and the engine roared to life. The car spun in a reckless U-turn, tires kicking up dust, nearly grazing me as I scrambled to my knees. He's stealing. At your car, your lifeline gone. I fumbled for my phone, my hand shaking, but it was gone, lost in the bushes. All I could do was watch as the Prius's taillights vanished around a bend, swallowed by the night's hungry maw. You're alone now, aren't you? No phone, no car, just you and the dark. My heart hammered, my breath ragged as I stood frozen on the gravel. The halfway house loomed behind me, its dark windows like eyes that had seen too much. Then, from the distance, a sickening screech of metal tore through the silence, followed by the wail of car alarms. What did he do? I hesitated, my mind torn between running toward the sound or seeking help at the house. I chose the house, pounding on the door until a bleary-eyed supervisor appeared, his face paling as I stammered out the story. We searched the bushes, finding my phone with its cracked screen glowing faintly. As we waited for the police, the supervisor pieced together Freddie's story. He was fresh out of jail, a meth addict who'd never really quit. His girlfriend had left him long ago, now engaged to another man, living 3 states away. Imagine the madness, believing you could win her, back by killing her fiancé with no weapon, no plan, no clue how to drive. Freddie had seen our pizza flyer on the halfway house notice board, a simple ad promising delivery to their remote corner of the world. To him, it was a ticket, a way to lure me out, steal my car, and chase a delusion across state lines. The police arrived, their radios crackling with reports of the crash. Freddie had made it 2 blocks before losing control, the Prius spinning into 3 parked cars. The wreckage was a nightmare of twisted metal and shattered glass, and Freddie's legs were crushed beyond repair. By morning, surgeons had taken one above the knee, the other below. Picture him now, broken in body and mind, his dreams as mangled as the car he stole. He was hauled back to prison, charged with theft, parole violation, and a litany of other crimes. But you don't just walk away from a night like that, do you? The halfway house still orders pizzas, and I make sure we deliver. I'm a manager now, running a new branch, but I still take the wheel sometimes, driving those same dark roads. The residents, with their scarred hands and hopeful eyes, pull me in for a slice and beg to hear the story again. The night a pepperoni pizza turned into a weapon, a trap, a nightmare. Feel that weight, the way a simple delivery can unravel into chaos. I check the ignition now, every time. And when the night grows too quiet, I listen for whispers in the dark, wondering if they're real. The forest swallowed the night, its trees clawing at the sky as a low guttural roar shook the earth beneath my moped. I was a pizza delivery guy in Cornwall, England's wild southwest, where rugged cliffs meet the sea and the past lingers like a shadow. It was winter 2017, and I worked for a big pizza chain, riding a rattling moped through the countryside to deliver orders to sleepy villages. That night, the dispatcher sent me to an address I didn't recognize, a place buried deep in the woods, far from the familiar glow of streetlights. Feel that chill creeping up your spine, the way the dark can make even a simple job feel like a descent into something sinister. Cornwall is a land of contrasts, crisp cheese, tangy Marmite, and relics of World War II hidden in the hills. Old bunkers and air raid sirens dot the landscape, their rusted frames whispering of a time when danger was ever present. I'd always been jumpy, my heart racing at the slightest rustle in the dark, but delivering pizzas paid for my rent. The order was straightforward: a pizza, garlic bread, and chicken wings, cash on delivery. The GPS pointed me down a twisting back road, into a forest where the trees seemed to lean closer, their branches tangling overhead like a cage. Have you ever felt the world close in, as if it's waiting to trap you? My moped's headlight flickered, barely piercing the fog that curled around the road like a living thing. I stopped every few minutes to squint at the GPS, my fingers numb from the cold. The pizza would be cold by the time I arrived, and I braced for a customer's complaint. Maybe a cut in my pay. The forest grew denser, the path narrower, until it felt like I'd slipped into a place where reality frayed at the edges. A dream where the rules didn't apply. You know that feeling, don't you? When the night turns strange, and every instinct screams to turn back. Then it hit me. A deep, resonant sound like the growl of some ancient beast. It cut through my crash helmet, vibrating in my chest, a noise so raw it made my blood run cold. It wasn't just a sound. It was a presence, heavy and alive, like the call of a creature from a forgotten world. I told myself it was impossible. No, Godzilla roamed these woods, no prehistoric monster lurked in the shadows. But the sound pulsed again, louder, and my hands tightened on the handlebars, my breath shallow. Listen to it now, that roar. It's not just noise, it's a warning, and you're already too deep to escape. A crude sign appeared in the beam of my headlight, nailed to a gnarled tree. Scrawled in jagged letters, it read, "Pizza guy this way." My stomach lurched. Who leaves a sign like that out here in the middle of nowhere? The sound came again, a low hum that seemed to rise from the earth itself, and I realized where I was headed. The old WW2 bunker, a place I'd visited as a teenager. Back then, it was a playground for reckless kids, its walls covered in graffiti, the air thick with the stench of stale beer, and worse. We dared each other to touch the rusted air raid siren outside, laughing as we ran from our own shadows. My mate Dave had told me about the bunker's new residents, a group of squatters, hippie types chasing a life off the grid. He'd visited them, describing their painted walls and scattered plants. A strange attempt to make a home in a place built for war. Picture that bunker, a relic of fear now dressed in false comfort. But something's watching, isn't it? I should have turned around, but the order was cash on delivery and I needed the money. I parked the moped, grabbed the pizza boxes, and approached the bunker's heavy door. The sirens hum now, a constant pressure in my ears. I knocked. Silence. I pushed the door, and it creaked open, revealing a darkness that felt like it could swallow me whole. The bunker's interior was surreal. Fresh paint coated the walls in soft blues and greens, glowing faintly under a single flickering bulb. Potted plants sat in corners, their leaves wilting as if they sensed the wrongness of this place. It should have felt welcoming, but the emptiness was oppressive, like the air itself was holding its breath. You've been somewhere like this, haven't you? A place that looks alive but feels dead inside. The siren's hum was softer inside, but it still throbbed in my chest. I spotted a desk cluttered with wires and what looked like old audio equipment, its screen dark, lifeless. I set the pizza boxes down, my hands trembling, ready to demand payment and leave. Then it came. A faint crunch behind me like glass under a boot. Before I could react, a searing pain erupted across my shoulder blades, knocking me forward. I spun around, heart hammering, and faced him. A man, shirtless, his hair a greasy tangle, his beard wild and matted. His chest was smeared with something dark, its foul stench clogging my throat. He clutched a pool cue, its end splintered from the blow, and his eyes blazed with a madness that wasn't human. He's not just a man, is he? Something else is driving him, something broken. He swung again, aiming for my head, but my crash helmet took the hit, the cue snapping in half with a shower of splinters. He screamed, a garbled rant about monsters and lizards, his voice a twisted howl. Run. You have to run now. But I didn't. A surge of adrenaline took over. I lunged forward, slamming my helmet into his face. Blood sprayed, warm and slick, coating my visor and blinding me. I tore it off, gasping, and drove my boot into his groin with every ounce of strength. He collapsed, writhing, and I shoved him aside, bolting for the door. You're not safe yet, are you? The dark is still out there. Outside, the siren's hum swelled, a relentless drone that seemed to chase me. I leapt onto my moped, the engine, sputtering as I sped through the forest, branches scraping at my arms. The fog closed in, the road blurring into a tunnel of shadows. I didn't stop until I reached a clearing, my hands shaking as I dialed the police. They arrived hours later, searching the bunker and finding blood, the broken pool cue and a laptop rigged to play that unearthly sound. But the squatters were gone, all accounted for at a rave in a nearby field, claiming no knowledge of the attack. The pizza had vanished, as if it had never been there. Months later, the truth surfaced. The man who attacked me was caught robbing a village post office, a crack addict with a rap sheet stretching back years. I faced him in a lineup, his wild eyes still burning in my memory. But he was human, not the monster I'd seen that night. Or was he? The police said I'd been lucky to escape with my life. But one detail haunts me. He swore he didn't set up that laptop to play the beastly sound. The squatters agreed, and none had reason to lie. So what was it then? What called? From the dark, luring me to that bunker? I never returned to that forest. I quit delivering soon after. The job stained by that night. Feel that weight, the way a single sound can burrow into your soul. The bunker still stands, its siren silent, but I wonder if that roar waits, ready to wake for the next soul foolish enough to answer. The evening sun bled orange across the pizzeria's windows, but inside, a quiet unease hung in the air, as if the ovens themselves knew trouble was coming. I'm a delivery driver for a small pizza joint in a sleepy town, where the scent of fresh dough and melted cheese is a promise of comfort. Our place is obsessive about perfection, with a sign above the counter tracking days since our last mistake, like a badge of pride. We reset it to 0 with every error, and the whole team faces a forfeit. Nothing serious, just a bit of fun, to keep us sharp. Feel that weight, though, the way a single slip can unravel everything you've built. Our perfect pizza promise is simple. Get it wrong, and the order's free. It's a point of honor, and our regulars love us for it. They're a friendly bunch, always quick with a smile or a tip. I delivered to them all. Old couples, rowdy teens, tired parents. Once I brought a stack of pizzas to a guy named Mike, who'd ordered for a birthday party. He was furious because we'd swapped mushrooms for olives, but he laughed it off when I offered a free order next time. Hold on to those moments because they make you think people are predictable, safe. But not Colleen. She was different and I didn't see it until it was too late. Colleen had been a regular, always polite, tipping well for her weekly orders. I delivered to her house a dozen times, her kids, a boy about 12, a girl maybe 8, cheering when I arrived. But that evening I drew the short straw. A forfeit from a previous mistake meant I was on delivery duty, and I'd failed to check the order before leaving. It was around 5 p.m., the sky bruising purple as I pulled up to Colleen's suburban home, a tidy place with a station wagon in the drive. Something felt off, didn't it? The way the house seemed too still, like it was waiting. Colleen was ushering her kids out of the car, her movements sharp, her face tight with strain. She glanced at me, her eyes narrowing, and snapped that I was early. I explained, as calmly as I could, that 6 minutes early was standard, a sign of good service. Her eyelid twitched, her cheeks flushing red, and I sensed a storm brewing. You've seen that look, haven't you? The kind that says reasons already left the building. Her kids, oblivious, bounced with excitement, chattering about pizza night. Colleen demanded to inspect the order, starting with the garlic bread. She studied it like a detective, sniffing so close I thought she'd inhale it. The rice and pasta passed her scrutiny, but when she opened the 20-inch pizza box, a margarita with extra cheese, her face changed. Her eyes widened, not with surprise, but with a rage so raw it felt like the air itself thickened. She stared at the pizza, then at me, then back at the pizza, her gaze a pendulum of fury. "There's no pineapple," she said, her voice slow, deliberate, each word a blade. I blinked, confused. "No pineapple, ma'am," I agreed, assuming she'd misspoken. But the receipt told a different story. She'd ordered pineapple as an extra topping and we'd missed it. "I'm so sorry," I said, forcing a smile. "Good news, though. Our policy means your whole order's free." That should have fixed it, right? A mistake made right. But Colleen's face twisted, her eyes burning with a hatred I couldn't fathom. She didn't care about free. She wanted pineapple, needed it, as if its absence was a personal betrayal. Her kids piped up, their voices small, saying they didn't mind, that they didn't even like pineapple. I caught a flicker of fear in the boy's eyes, and my stomach sank. Something's wrong here. Terribly wrong. Before I could speak, Colleen lunged forward, seizing the pizza box and hurling it at me. The 20-inch slab slammed into my face, hot cheese scalding my skin, sauce smearing into my eyes. I staggered, pain flaring, the world a blur of heat and red. This isn't real. She didn't just do that. But the sting was real, the weight of the pizza box real, the cries of her daughter real. Colleen screamed, blaming me, as if I'd forced her to attack. I wiped at my face, cheese clinging to my fingers, burning my cheeks. "Stay calm. You can't fight back." But she wasn't done. She leapt at me, her manicured nails gleaming like claws, her face a mask of rage. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for impact, and felt her nails rake across my cheek, sharp and searing, drawing blood. She's going to kill me. Over pineapple, over nothing. Her kids were screaming. I was screaming. The world a chaos of panic and pain. Then, salvation. A force barreled into Colleen, sending her sprawling across the sidewalk into a pile of recycling bins. Through my blurred vision, I saw Shauna, a regular customer from down the street, her broad frame towering over the scene. She asked if I was okay, her voice steady, but Colleen was already rising, her eyes wild, clutching her keys like a weapon. She's not stopping. She'll hurt Shauna too. I'd never fought, never thrown a punch, but instinct took over. As Colleen charged, I thrust out my arm, catching her mid-stride, sending her crashing to the ground. Her kids, I swear, let out a cheer, their voices cutting through the madness. Shauna didn't hesitate. She sat on Colleen, pinning her until the police arrived, their lights flashing in the dusk. Colleen's ex-husband, Colin, pulled up, his face a mix of shock and resignation. The cops took Colleen away, her screams fading into the night. Colin gathered the kids, their faces pale, and Shauna and I went to the station to give statements. You think it's over, don't you? But some wounds don't heal so fast. Later, Shauna filled me in. Colleen had spiraled, hooked on Xanax and Adderall, her life unraveling in a bitter divorce. Colin had fought for custody, but the courts favored mothers, leaving the kids in her care until that night. Imagine living with that. A mother who could snap over a missing topping. After the attack, the kids went to live with Colin, with supervised visits for Colleen, who spent time in a psych ward before rehab. I supported that. She needed help, not a cell. Shauna and Colin became VIPs at our shop, eating free twice a month. My boss waived the forfeit for the wrong order, saying a face full of pizza and scratches was punishment enough. But you don't just shake off a night like that, do you? I still deliver, but every time I pull up to a quiet house, I brace myself, wondering if another Colleen waits behind the door, her rage ready to explode over something as small as pineapple. The pizzeria's neon sign flickered in the night, casting a sickly glow over the empty street, as if it knew the secrets hidden behind its walls. I was a delivery driver for a small family-run pizza joint years ago, in a town where the scent of fresh dough and sizzling cheese masked a darker truth. The place was a local legend, its deep dish pies and stuffed crusts drawing crowds from miles away. But it wasn't just the food that kept the business alive. I knew, even as a naive kid, that some deliveries carried more than pizza. Feel that chill, the way innocence can blind you to the danger lurking in plain sight. I'd hand over padded envelopes with the orders, their faint, skunky smell betraying their contents. Weed, mostly. A side hustle I shrugged off as harmless. It was common back then, pizza delivery doubling as a low-key drug run. I told myself it wasn't my business, that I could play dumb if the cops ever asked. You've ignored a warning sign before, haven't you? That gut feeling you push down hoping it's nothing. But I was wrong. The pizzeria's heart was rotten, and I was just a pawn in a game I didn't understand. The shop was owned by Kerno, a towering man with cold eyes and a presence that made my skin crawl. His father, Dan, full name Bogdan, was the opposite. Dan was in his 60s, maybe older, with a warm smile and hands scarred from years at the oven. He'd come to America from Serbia as a teen, carrying stories he never shared, though his eyes hinted at horrors he'd seen. Dan's pizzas were magic, his deep dish creations a testament to a life poured into his craft. Picture him, kneading dough with those steady hands, a man who deserved better than the world he got. I loved working with Dan. He'd tease me about my scrawny frame, slip me extra slices, and talk about everything but his past. Kerno, though, kept his distance, his stoic silence unnerving. I was just a kid raised by a stepdad who ruled with fists, so I kept my head down around Kerno. My nights with Dan were routine. Pizza runs, weed drops, nothing heavy. Kerno's crew handled the real stuff. Crack, heroin, maybe worse. I heard whispers of something called crocodile, but I dismissed it as rumor. Hold on to that ignorance, because once it's gone, you can't unsee the truth. One night, months before the horror, I delivered to a shady apartment complex. The customer, a jittery guy with sunken eyes, took the pizza and envelope, muttering about keeping it quiet. Dan had warned me to stay sharp on those runs, his voice low, almost fatherly. I brushed it off, but the memory lingered, a crack, in the facade of my carefree job. You feel it now, don't you? The way a single moment can hint at the storm to come. That Saturday night, the order seemed normal. A deep dish Dan, our weekend special, to an unfamiliar address. This was before GPS, so I unfolded a map under the van's dome light, tracing the route. Dan slapped the pizza box into my hands, his grin warm as ever, and I headed out. The drive took me to the edge of town, where streetlights gave way to darkness. When I arrived, my stomach dropped. The address was a condemned building, its windows boarded, its walls tagged with faded graffiti. This isn't right. No one lives here. I double-checked the map. The address matched. A payphone stood nearby, its metal frame glinting under a flickering street lamp. I dialed the pizzeria, expecting Dan's voice, but the line rang unanswered. I tried again, then again. Over 15 minutes, my unease growing into dread. Something's wrong, terribly wrong. The pizza had gone cold, so I drove back, the van's headlights slicing through the night, my heart pounding with a fear I couldn't name. When I reached the pizzeria, the front door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling onto the sidewalk. Dan never leaves it open. Never. I stepped inside, the air thick with a smell that turned my stomach. A sickly, charred scent, like meat left too long on a grill. It wasn't our usual aroma of sauce and spices. It was wrong, primal, invasive. You smell it too, don't you? That scent that twists your gut before you know why. I moved toward the kitchen, my boots heavy on the tile, dreading what I'd find. The kitchen was a nightmare. On the wall, scrawled in what I thought was blood, later confirmed as tomato puree, was a chilling message. Your pizza's done. Then I saw it. Dan, my Dan, shoved into the pizza oven, his legs and torso jutting out, the dials cranked to maximum. The heat radiated, a suffocating wave, and the smell, God, the smell was unbearable. A mix of burning flesh and something almost appetizing that made me gag with shame. A butcher's cleaver was lodged between his shoulder blades, its blade glinting in the oven's glow. This can't be real. This is a dream, a sick dream. I stood frozen, my mind refusing to process the horror. I wanted to believe Dan hadn't suffered, that the cleaver had ended him first, but later I learned the truth. He was alive, burning, as they held him in that inferno. Imagine that pain, that betrayal in his final moments. Before I could move, a voice broke the silence, raw and anguished. Kerno burst in, shoving past me, his face a mask of grief. The man I'd feared, cold and unyielding, collapsed, clutching Dan's body, pleading for his father to be okay. He pulled Dan from the oven, and I turned away, unable to face what remained. Kerno's eyes met mine, his sorrow hardening into steel. You will not call the cops, he said, his voice a command that brooked no argument. Tomorrow you find a new job. You'll be taken care of. I didn't ask what he meant by they, but I knew enough to obey. I left, my hands trembling, the smell of death clinging to me. The next day, a padded envelope arrived, not weed but cash, enough to flee the state and start over. You'd take it too, wouldn't you? To escape a truth too heavy to bear. I never returned to the pizzeria. I heard whispers of gang violence, but Kerno's name stayed clear of the news. I didn't dig deeper. Fear kept me silent. Decades later, I run my own restaurant, A modest place that can't match Dan's magic but tries to honor him. Feel that weight, the way a single night can haunt you forever. I hope Dan's watching, proud despite it all. Whatever Kurno was tangled in, Dan didn't deserve that end. I pray Kurno found justice, but some truths are better left buried. The wind howled through the empty truck stop, kicking up dust that danced in the flicker of a dying street lamp, as if the night itself was warning me to leave. I'm a long-haul trucker, crisscrossing the country with loads of washing machines, game consoles, or medical equipment so valuable it makes my palms sweat. That night I was hauling from Dallas to Albany, a 24-hour slog that demanded a rest stop in Kentucky around midnight. My cargo was sensitive, high-tech gear I couldn't name without breaking contracts. But it was the kind that kept me glancing in the rear view, half expecting trouble. Feel that unease, the way a quiet road can make you question what's waiting. In the dark, trucking's a strange life full of stories you'd swear were lies. I'd heard of a rig carrying action figures robbed at gunpoint. The whole load vanished like smoke. Another driver, months back, told me over the CB radio about a rest stop where his tires were slashed, his cargo untouched but his nerves shredded. You laugh it off, don't you? Until the night feels wrong and those stories crawl back into your head. My favorite stop was a Kentucky lot with a 24-hour diner where I'd swap tales with other truckers over coffee and pie. But when I pulled in that night, the diner was dark, shuttered for renovations. The lot was empty, save for a battered Range Rover, its windows smashed, looking like it hadn't moved in months. The CB radio was silent, no chatter to break the stillness. I shrugged it off, digging into my stash of Twinkies, Cheetos, and Mountain Dew trucker fuel, I called it, grinning at my own bad habits. I popped a CD into the player, the music a faint shield against the quiet, and reclined the passenger seat to catch a few hours' sleep. Normally, the road rocks you like a cradle, but not tonight. Sleep wouldn't come. The diner's black, windows stared back. The street lamp buzzed erratically and the wind grew sharper, rattling the truck. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that the world's shifted, and you're no longer where you thought you were. I'm not one for ghost stories. Horror movies make me laugh, not flinch. But that night, a dread settled in my gut, heavy and unshakable. This stop was usually alive even at midnight, truckers joking, waitresses pouring coffee. But now it felt like I'd crossed into a place abandoned by time. The Range Rover gnawed at me, its broken frame barely visible in the dark. Was it burned? I couldn't tell. A voice in my head urged me to check it, but my trusty sidekick, Kirsty, my shotgun, always hidden but always close, kept me in the cab. Walking out there feels like stepping into a trap, doesn't it? My eyes grew heavy, the line between wakefulness and dreams blurring. Then it came. A sharp tap on the driver's side window jolted me upright, my heart slamming against my ribs. Was I dreaming? Another tap, softer, deliberate. I squinted into the dark, seeing only a vague human shape through the glass. I flicked on the cab light, blinding myself, and gestured toward the passenger side, hoping they'd move. Silence. The figure vanished as if sinking into the asphalt. This isn't right. No one's out there. I killed the light, my breath shallow, waiting. Minutes passed, 1, 2, until I convinced myself it was a trick of the mind. Then it came again. A harder tap, right beside me on the passenger window. I grabbed my flashlight, its beam slicing through the dark, and froze. A man stood there dressed in a pizza delivery uniform. Jacket, cap, the works, but it was wrong. The fabric was torn, filthy, the logo half unstitched, like it hadn't been washed in decades. His cap's brim shadowed his face, but a grin gleamed in the light, unnaturally wide, teeth catching the beam like a predator's. He's not normal, is he? Something's off. Something deadly. I lowered the window, against every instinct, and asked, "Can I help you, buddy?" "I got your pizza, friend," he said, his voice smooth but hollow, holding up a box. I hadn't ordered anything. I was in a dead truck stop, my phone useless, the CB silent. I told him as much, but his grin didn't falter, his teeth a stark white in the gloom. He recited a name, mine somehow, and insisted the pizza was paid for, mine to take. He knows too much, doesn't he? How does he know? I refused, my stomach growling traitorously. But no way was I touching that box. I shone the flashlight again and the uniform state hit me. Rips in the jacket, hair poking through the cap's tears, a stench of decay wafting closer. "Move along," I said, my voice firm. He didn't budge, claiming he'd be in trouble if I didn't take it. I reached for Kirsty, her weight a comfort. Most trouble backs off at the sight of a shotgun, but not him. His grin widened, almost admiring, as he raised the box. "You really don't want this pizza?" My hunger betrayed me. But then he tilted, his head, and I saw his face. His left eye was bloodshot, wild, staring. His right was gone, covered by dirty gauze, a void where life should be. He's not human, not anymore. I leveled Kirsty, my voice steady. "I'm leaving. Step back." His grin faded, his eye softening, almost sad. "It's your pizza," he said, stepping back, placing the box on the ground and retreating toward the Range Rover, never breaking eye contact. He climbed in, the engine coughing to life, and drove off, the car's shattered windows glinting in the dark. "He's gone, but you're not safe, are you?" Curiosity pulled me out, Kirsty in hand. I opened the pizza box and gagged. The pie was a week old, moldy, crawling with maggots, its stench choking me. I hurled it away, my heart racing. I checked the truck's cargo doors, fearing a scam. They were locked, but scratched into the paint were 2 words. "Don't eat." Who did? This when? I jumped into the driver's seat, Kirsty beside me, and floored it, not stopping until Albany. I told the story over the CB for years, chalking it up to tweakers looking to spook a trucker. But deep down, I know it was more. Feel that dread? The way a single night can change how you see the world. Pizza's never tasted right since, and I avoid that stop, wondering if he's still out there, waiting with his rancid box. The night pressed down on the Columbian Road, a ribbon of dirt swallowed by jungle shadows, where every rustle felt like a threat poised to strike. I was a backpacker, far from home, chasing adventure in a land of vibrant colors and hidden dangers. To stretch my cash, I took a job at Popu's, a tiny cafe in a dusty town, delivering food on a moped that coughed and sputtered with every mile. It was under-the-table work, probably illegal, but I didn't care about visas or permits. Feel that recklessness, the way youth blinds you to the edges of a cliff. Colombia was a fever dream, markets buzzing with life, music spilling from every corner, but beneath it, a current of violence ran deep. Popus served greasy plates to rough types, men with scarred hands, women with wary eyes. I'd weave through narrow streets, dodging potholes, dropping off orders to places that smelled of trouble. One night, weeks before, I delivered to a back alley where a guy slipped me a roll of bills, his gaze darting like he expected a knife in the dark. You shrug it off, don't you? Until the night the world turns predator. That night, the order was for 4 sausage pizzas, bound for what the cafe owner called a gentleman's club. I knew better. The address screamed gang hideout, a place where pizza was the least of their appetites, but the pay was good, and I was too green to say no. I strapped the boxes to the moped, their warmth seeping through, and rode into the dark. The road was desolate, flanked by jungle so thick it seemed to breathe. Something's watching, isn't it? The kind of quiet that hides teeth. The moped's headlight flickered, barely cutting through the humid night. The air was heavy, thick with the scent of earth and decay, and my shirt clung to my skin. I was halfway there when a shadow darted across the road, too fast to track. What was that? Before I could brake, the moped lurched, tires hissing as they shredded on spiked strips strewn across the dirt. This is a trap. Voices erupted from the trees, sharp and guttural, shouting in Spanish. Words like kill and butcher slicing through the air. 4 figures burst from the jungle, their faces hidden behind crude masks. 2 wielded machetes, their blades glinting in the moonlight. One held a scythe, its curve a promise of pain, and the 4th swung a baseball bat, his eyes burning with intent. They're coming for you, and there's nowhere to hide. My heart pounded, legs moving. Before my mind caught up, I abandoned the moped, the pizza boxes tumbling, and ran, plunging into the forest, branches clawing at my face. The jungle was a labyrinth, roots tripping me, leaves slapping my skin. Run faster or you're dead. My lungs burned, my thighs screamed, but their footsteps thundered behind, relentless. I ran for what felt like hours, maybe 40 minutes, maybe more. My body pushed beyond its limits, fueled by raw terror. Why me? What do they want? Maybe they mistook me for a rival gang member, or Popus was their target, or they just craved the thrill of killing a gringo. I'd never know, and it didn't matter. Exhaustion dragged at me, my vision blurring when I stumbled into a clearing. A farm loomed ahead, its barn a dark silhouette against the starry sky. The smell of livestock hit me sharp and musky, guiding me to the barn's open door. You're not safe yet, are you? Inside, a dozen massive pigs stirred, their eyes glinting in the faint light. I'd always feared pigs, their bulk, their teeth, their unpredictable strength. But they were my only hope. I slipped into a pen, crouching in the corner, piling straw over my trembling body. A massive pig, bigger than any I'd ever seen, lumbered toward me. It's going to crush you after all this. My breath caught, but it settled in front, its bulk a shield. Others joined, forming a living barrier, their warmth seeping into the cold night. They're protecting you somehow against all odds. Footsteps pounded closer, the gang bursting into the barn, their voices harsh. The pigs stirred, some lunging, snapping at the intruder's ankles. To my shock, the men retreated, their bravado crumbling before the animal's ferocity. Even killers fear something, don't they? I stayed there, curled in the straw, heart racing, praying the gang wouldn't return. The pig's heavy breathing was my only company, a strange comfort in the dark. You're alive, but for how long? Dawn broke, pale light filtering through the barn's slats. I crawled out, muscles aching, and met the farmer, a weathered man with kind eyes. My broken Spanish and his halting English bridged the gap. He drove me to town, asking no questions, his silence a gift. I didn't return to Popus. I grabbed my backpack from the hostel, bought a bus ticket, and left Colombia, vowing never to return. Feel that weight, the way fear reshapes you. The pizzas, those sausage pies, haunt me. I haven't touched one since, the smell alone twisting my stomach with memories of that night. Some things you can't outrun, can you? The jungle's still out there, and somewhere those men might be waiting, their blades ready for the next fool on a moped. The suburban street lay silent under a moonless sky, but the Smiths' bungalow pulsed with a strange energy, as if the house itself was holding its breath. I was a 20-year-old college student in the early 2000s, working pizza delivery to Scrape, in a bustling city where faces blurred into a sea of orders. Most customers were forgettable, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith stood out, a sweet elderly couple in a tidy suburban bungalow, ordering a single pizza every Friday night. Their warm smiles and generous tips were a highlight of my week. Feel that comfort, the way routine can lull you into a false sense of safety. Delivering pizzas was my lifeline, a grind of late nights and sore feet. But the Smiths made it worthwhile. Once, months back, I'd lingered at their door, sharing a story about a delivery gone wrong. A drunk guy who'd tried to pay with a handful of coins, only to drop them in the rain. Mrs. Smith had laughed, pressing an extra $1 into my hand, her kindness a balm. You hold on to those moments, don't you? Until they're shattered by something you can't unsee. That day, the order was unusual. 8 large pizzas to the Smiths' address, far more than their usual. I volunteered to take it, eager to see them, picturing a family gathering. The stack of boxes warmed my car as I drove through the city, the streets growing quieter as I reached their neighborhood. But when I pulled up, the bungalow felt wrong. The windows glowed faintly, but a throbbing bass line shook the air spilling from the basement. I stepped onto the porch, the music pulsing through my boots, and knocked. The door swung open, and my breath caught. This isn't them. A figure stood, there clad in a black and white wolf costume, its fur matted, its eyes hidden behind a mask. He didn't speak, just gestured at the pizzas, then patted empty pockets, miming a plea before pointing inside. Who is this? Where are the Smiths? Going into a customer's home was against every rule, but I'd visited the Smiths before, chatting, over tea. Worry for them, mixed with a morbid curiosity, pulled me forward. As I followed the wolf, his costume's details hit me. Chaps that left little to the imagination. A swagger that felt performative. He's a furry, isn't he? One of those people. The door closed behind me and I turned to see another figure. A bear in a tattered fursuit, its fabric fraying, its presence chilling. This is a mistake. You shouldn't be here. The bear's eyes, barely visible, locked onto mine, and I gripped the pizza boxes tighter, my heart racing. I demanded payment and asked for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, my voice sharper than intended. The wolf and bear exchanged glances, their masked faces twisting in silent laughter, as if my question was absurd. What's so funny? What's happening here? They pointed to the basement where the music grew louder, a relentless techno beat that vibrated in my chest. Every horror movie I'd ever seen screamed at me to run, but the Smiths' faces, kind, trusting, kept me moving. I followed them down the stairs, the air growing thick, humid, tinged with a chemical tang that stung my nose. The basement was a fever dream. Animals everywhere, but not animals. People, twisted into something else. An owl in leather straps loomed in one corner. A unicorn in a barely there costume danced nearby, and cartoonish cats in diapers swayed to the music. At the center, a man in a bat mask and cape stood, his body exposed, his presence commanding yet grotesque. This isn't a party. This is a nightmare. On a couch, Mr. and Mrs. Smith sat, their faces pale, eyes wide with fear. Mrs. Smith's hands trembled, Mr. Smith's jaw tight. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice barely cutting through the music. Mrs. Smith looked ready to break, her voice a whisper. "Our grandson came to visit," she said, nodding at the wolf. "He brought friends." Mr. Smith shook his head, defeated. I didn't know what to do. They're trapped, aren't they? In their own home. The furries hadn't threatened them outright, but the air was heavy with menace. Then I saw it. A table in the corner, cluttered with glassware, burners, and chemicals. A makeshift meth lab bubbling with reckless abandon. This is going to end badly. Very badly. I moved to the Smiths, urgency overriding fear. "We're leaving now," I said, helping them up. They clung to me, their frailty stark against the chaos. We climbed the stairs, the music fading, the Hallway a narrow path to freedom. Almost there. You're almost out. But the bear blocked our way, its towering form filling the space. Mrs. Smith gasped, tears spilling. Then it happened. A muffled boom shook the house, the basement erupting in chaos. Smoke poured up the stairs, the air acrid with burning chemicals. The lab, it's gone wrong. Figures in fursuits surged past, their costumes absurd against the panic. The bat-masked man sprinted by, his cape flapping, diving out the front door. The wolf, Smith's grandson, shoved his grandmother aside, racing for a car with the bear. I caught Mrs. Smith, her weight light in my arms, and dragged them both to the lawn. The house is burning. You have to move. Another blast rocked the bungalow, flames licking up the hallway, their heat searing my back. The remaining furries scattered, vanishing into the night, leaving only the bat-masked man standing dazed on the grass. He stayed, didn't he? When others ran. Sirens wailed in the distance, red and blue lights cutting through the smoke. Mr. Smith held his wife, her sobs muffled as firefighters battled the blaze. The bat-masked man, a lawyer by day, told the police everything, exposing his secret life to reveal the truth. The grandson's meth operation, the reckless party, the explosion. Not all heroes wear clothes, but this one wore courage. The Smiths were safe, their home damaged, but their lives intact. I stopped delivering to them, the warmth of our connection tainted by that night. Feel that loss, the way a single moment can break something pure. The memory lingers, a scar I carry, reminding me how close I came to losing everything in a haze of fur and fire. Have you ever stood at the edge of a forest, feeling it breathe your name, its shadows pulling you into a secret you've forgotten? That's how I felt when Rachel, my closest friend since our college days, called me in the summer of 2013 with an invitation that set my heart racing. Step into the wild, feel the thrill. She wanted me to join her boyfriend, and two of his friends for a camping trip in the Catskills, a place where the air was alive with the promise of freedom. I was 25, trapped in a city job that drained my soul, my days a blur of screens and deadlines. Feel the weight of routine crushing you. The Catskills, with its endless forests and golden sunlight, was a call to adventure, a chance to escape the gray monotony of my life. Rachel's boyfriend and his buddies were the kind of guys you'd want by your side in the wild. Laid back, quick to laugh, their easy camaraderie a balm to my restless spirit. Picture their smiles, warm and inviting. But for me, this trip was more than a getaway. It was a defiance of a past that had kept me caged, a rebellion against a fear that had defined my life. Imagine a memory so buried it feels like a ghost whispering in your bones. When I was 3, a story my mother still tells with a quiver in her voice, my dad took me to a barbecue in a New York State park. The air was thick with the scent of grilling steaks, the laughter of his college friends ringing through the trees. Smell the smoke, hear the chatter. But in a moment of distraction, I wandered off. A tiny figure swallowed by the forest's embrace. Feel the panic of a child lost, the trees closing in. Hours passed before they found me, my sobs echoing through the park, my small body trembling with fear. My mother's fury was a storm, her fear hardening into a rule. No forests, no woods, nothing that could steal me again. Feel her terror, unyielding as iron. My childhood was stripped of adventure. No hiking, no camping, no summer camps where friends returned with stories of starry nights and campfire songs. You know the ache of longing for something forbidden. I grew up watching others live the life I craved, their freedom a mirror to my confinement. Rachel's invitation was a spark in the dark, a chance to break free. Step through the door to the unknown. I said yes without a second thought, my heart pounding with excitement and a flicker of dread. Feel it pulse in your chest. We planned a long weekend at Papton Reservoir, 12 miles from the nearest town, where Highway 30 traced the water's edge like a fragile thread. See the shimmering lake. Feel its isolation. It was close enough to civilization to feel safe, with cabins and campgrounds nearby, but wild enough to stir my city-bound soul. I packed carefully, slipping a compass into my pocket, a shield against the fear of getting lost. Hold it in your hand, feel its steady truth. We piled into Rachel's old Honda, the five of us laughing as the city faded behind us. The air grew cooler, the scent of pine and earth filling the car. Breathe it in, let it awaken you. We reached a small peninsula by the reservoir, a perfect spot with a parking lot, a boat launch, and a clearing for our tents. See the sunlight dancing on the water. Across Highway 30, cabins stood silent. Their dark windows like eyes watching us. Beyond them, the forest stretched endlessly, a maze of green and shadow that both thrilled and unnerved me. Feel the forest's gaze, heavy and knowing. We set up camp, our voices bright with anticipation. The act of pitching tents feeling like a ritual of freedom. That first night we gathered around a campfire, the flames casting shadows that danced like memories I couldn't grasp. Feel the warmth, but sense the darkness beyond. We ate beans and hot dogs, the simple meal tasting like victory, and sipped beers as the stars emerged above. Look up, see the sky's vastness. Laughter filled the air, and for a moment I felt invincible, as if the forest had welcomed me. But what if it knows your name? The thought lingered, a shadow at the edge of my joy, as we crawled into our sleeping bags. The night wrapping us in its embrace. Sleep, but feel the forest watching. Close your eyes and picture a forest so deep it swallows your cries. Its shadows hiding truths you're not ready to face. That day in the state park when I was 3 wasn't just a story. It was a wound that never healed. Feel the scar, raw and tender. My mother's voice still breaks when she speaks of it, her eyes lost in the memory of searching for her daughter. See her fear, her heart fracturing. She told me how my dad and his friends tore through the woods, their shouts drowned by the trees, their faces pale with desperation. When they found me, I was a trembling wreck, my sobs a beacon in the dark, my tiny hands reaching for safety. Hear a child's terror, sharp and piercing. My mother's anger was a tidal wave, her fear crystallizing into a ban. No forests, no woods, no place where the trees could hide me again. Feel her resolve, cold and absolute. That ban defined my childhood. Imagine growing up without the wild. My friends came back from summer camps with tales of midnight hikes and ghost stories, their eyes alight with adventure. I listened, my heart heavy, trapped in a cage of my mother's fear. You know the sting of exclusion. School trips to parks were off limits, replaced with sterile museum visits and city tours. My dad believed I'd outgrow the fear, his optimism, a faint light in the dark, but my mother's anxiety was a shadow that followed me. Feel it clinging to you, heavy and cold. I learned to bury my longing, to live within the boundaries she set. But Rachel's invitation shattered those walls. Step into the freedom you've been denied. Papton Reservoir was my chance to reclaim what I'd lost. See the forest beckoning, daring you to enter. I packed my compass, its metal cool against my palm, a promise of safety. Hold it tight. Feel its certainty. As we drove, the city gave way to rolling hills, the air thick with the scent of pine and earth. Breathe it in, let it fill you. Rachel's Honda rattled along Highway 30, the reservoir gleaming in the distance, a mirror reflecting my hopes and fears. Look at it. See your reflection tremble. The forest loomed beyond, its trees like silent sentinels, their branches whispering secrets I couldn't yet hear. Listen. What do they know? My excitement was afire, but beneath it a spark of dread glowed. Feel it in your chest. A warning. That first night by the campfire, I felt alive. The forest's embrace both exhilarating and terrifying. Feel the wild calling you. The stars were a map I'd never read, the trees a mystery I'd never solved. My mother's warnings echoed in my mind, urging me to turn back, but I pushed them away. You're stronger than her fear. I was here, in the Catskills, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But what if the forest remembers you? The thought lingered, a whisper in the dark as the night closed around us. Sleep, but feel the shadows watching. Have you ever walked through a place that feels like it's been waiting for you? Its shadows whispering memories you didn't know you had? The next morning at Pepton Reservoir, the air was crisp, the sunlight glinting off the water like a promise of renewal. See the golden rays, feel their warmth. We woke slowly, stumbling to the shore with towels and soap, the cold water a sharp awakening. Feel it on your skin, alive and biting. The boys, Rachel's boyfriend and his friends, laughed as they skimmed stones across the reservoir, their voices echoing like carefree spirits. Hear their joy but sense something lurking. Rachel and I decided to explore across Highway 30, drawn to the woods like moths to a flame. Step into the forest, feel its pull. The dirt road we followed was lined with cabins, their windows dark, their silence heavy with secrets. See their empty gazes, feel their weight. Rachel opened up as we walked, her voice soft, but thick with longing. Listen to her heart. She dreamed of a family, a child to hold, but her boyfriend's hesitation was a wall between them. Feel her hopes fading. I teased her, saying I'd guide our hike since she was lost in her relationship. Smile, but feel her pain. My compass was my anchor, its needle steady as I checked our direction, Rachel chuckling at my caution. Hold it in your hand, feel its truth. We ventured deeper, the cabins fading, the forest closing in like a living thing. Feel the air thicken, the trees drawing closer. Then it struck, a cold, sharp sensation, like a hand gripping my spine. Stop. Feel the world shift. The trees, their branches twisted like skeletal fingers, seem to whisper my name. Hear it soft, but relentless. I froze on the trail, my breath shallow, my heart pounding. Rachel's voice cut through the haze. What's wrong? She asked, her eyes searching mine. See her concern, feel your fear. I couldn't speak, the words trapped in my throat. Feel the silence choke you. When I found my voice, I told her about the nightmares that haunted my middle school years. Step into that darkness with me. Picture a forest from a twisted fairy tale, its roots alive, its shadows hungry. In those dreams, I wandered through a woodland where the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. Feel it beneath your feet, alive and waiting. I'd come to a small stone house, its walls cold, its entrance a void that devoured light. See it small but terrifying. I wanted to run, but my feet were bound, rooted by invisible chains. Feel them holding you. From the edges of my vision, a creature appeared, skin like cracked bark, hair blazing like fire, its smile dripping with blood. See its teeth, red and gleaming. It never touched me, but its gaze pinned me, promising I'd follow it into the dark. Feel the dread, cold and absolute. Those nightmares came 2-3 times a week, leaving me drenched in sweat, my heart racing. Feel it now, pounding in your chest. My parents had theories. Mom blamed the trauma of getting lost. Dad, the stress of a new school. Hear their voices, worried but helpless. A psychologist tried to help, but nothing stopped the dreams. Feel the frustration, the fear. Then, in high school, they vanished, as if my mind had locked them away. But what if they were waiting? In those woods with Rachel, the scenery was a mirror of my nightmares. Every tree, every shadow, a piece of that terror. See it come alive. I told Rachel, my voice trembling, and she looked at me with a mix of concern and disbelief. See her doubt? Feel your own. Are you okay? She asked, her tone gentle but wary. Hear the question echo. I brushed it off, blaming my inexperience, but the forest's whisper grew louder. You've been here before. What if your nightmares were memories waiting to claw their way back? Back at camp, I tried to shake the unease. Feel the effort, heavy as stone. We swam in the reservoir, the water cold and grounding, and laughed around the campfire as Rachel teased me about my déjà vu moment. Hear her laughter, but feel the chill beneath. Her boyfriend's friends spun tales of past lives and psychic visions, their words weaving a spell. Let them pull you in. The beer blurred my skepticism, and I wondered if they were right. Feel the doubt creep in. My déjà vu wasn't a feeling. It was a scream from my past. Hear it, loud and clear. The next morning, we set out for a longer hike. Walk with me. Feel the forest's gaze. The trails were gentle, the air alive with birdsong, and the group's laughter was a shield against my fears. Hear it, bright but fragile. I drank water by the gallon, the heat pressing against me, until nature called. Feel the urge, the need for solitude. I wandered off, needing privacy, putting distance between me and the others. Feel the woods closing in. As I stood, I glanced at the treetops, their shapes hauntingly familiar. See them, like ghosts from your dreams. The déjà vu returned, a slow, creeping dread. Feel it crawl up your spine. I told myself to stay put, to ignore the pull. But curiosity was a tide I couldn't resist. Follow it even as your heart protests. I crested a low rise and the world tilted. See it now. Impossible but real. A small concrete structure stood before me, shoulder high. Its slanted roof like an inverted V. Its entrance a dark maw. Feel your knees buckle. It wasn't the stone house from my dreams, but it was close enough to stop my heart. You've seen this before. I'd walked this path in my nightmares hundreds of times, the memory burned into my soul. Feel it ignite. I approached, my pulse a drumbeat, the air thick with the scent of decay. Breathe it in, feel it choke you. The shadows inside were heavy, but I saw something. Leaves and branches covering a shape. Peer closer, feel the dread. I brushed away the debris, my hand trembling, and saw a boot, old and weathered. See it, feel its weight. I pulled, and a bone came with it, human, unmistakable. Run now. What do you do when the line between dream and reality collapses? I sprinted back to Rachel and the group, my breath ragged, my words tumbling out. Hear your voice frantic. They followed me back, their faces pale when they saw the skeleton. See their shock, feel it mirror yours. Someone called 911, the signal weak but enough. Hear the static of the call. Police arrived, their radios crackling, their questions sharp. Answer them, feel the weight. I told them I'd found it while wandering, keeping my nightmares secret. Hide the truth, feel its burden. They let us go, but I couldn't stay. Feel the need to flee. Rachel drove me home. her presence a lifeline while the boys stayed, thrilled by the discovery. Feel their excitement, but not yours. Can you face a truth that rewrites your past? At home, I was a wreck. The line between dream and reality gone. Feel the chaos in your mind. I called my mom, spilling everything. Hear her silence, heavy with truth. When I mentioned Papton Reservoir, she paused, then said, "I need to call your father." Feel the anticipation. She called back, her voice a blade. "You got lost there when you were 3. Feel the truth hit. The nightmares were memories, distorted by a child's fear. See them reshape. I contacted the police, who confirmed the skeleton was a hunter's. His camouflage and orange cap explaining my dream's monster. See it clearly now. He died in an accident crawling into the structure to escape scavengers. Feel the relief, but the lingering fear. The cops wouldn't say how he died, leaving a shadow of doubt. But you're free, aren't you? The woods still call, daring me to return. Will you answer? Have you ever felt the wild call your name, promising freedom only to hide a nightmare beneath its beauty? That's how I felt when Andy, my boyfriend of 3 years, suggested a week-long hiking trip in Ocala National Forest, up in northern Florida. Step into the adventure, feel its pull. It was supposed to be our escape, a break from the grind of work and city life. Feel the weight of routine slip away. Steve and Kathy, our closest friends, were just as eager, their eyes bright with the prospect of nature's embrace. We were all in our late 20s, craving a taste of the wild, a chance to trade fluorescent lights for starlit skies. See the stars, endless and free. Ocala promised towering trees, shimmering lakes, and trails that whispered of adventure. Hear them beckon you. The plan was simple. Hike, camp, and lose ourselves in the forest's magic. But what if the forest has other plans? We set out early on a Saturday morning, the air warm but not stifling, the sun painting the sky in hues of gold. Feel its warmth on your skin. Andy's old SUV hummed along the highway, packed with tents, snacks, and our laughter. Hear it fill the air, carefree. Kathy scrolled through her playlist, picking songs that made us sing off-key, while Steve pointed out every bird he spotted through the window. See their wings flash in the light. As we entered Ocala, the forest greeted us like an old friend, its massive oaks and pines stretching toward the sky, their branches swaying in a gentle breeze. Breathe in the scent of earth and pine. We stopped at a trailhead, our boots crunching. On the gravel, our hearts light with anticipation. Feel the ground beneath you, alive and inviting. The trail was easy, winding through groves where sunlight dappled the ground like spilled gold. See it shimmer, warm and alive. Birds sang overhead, their calls a symphony of life, and at one point, a deer stood just off the path, its eyes locked on us. Feel its gaze, calm but wary. Steve fumbled for his camera, but the deer vanished into the trees, leaving us laughing at his clumsiness. Hear our joy, pure and fleeting. We snapped photos, ate granola bars, and marveled at the forest's beauty, each step pulling us deeper into its heart. Walk with us, feel the rhythm of the trail. By afternoon, we were ready to camp, our legs pleasantly tired, our spirits high. Feel the satisfaction of a day well spent. Then we found it, a clearing that looked like an abandoned campground, or maybe an old trailer park, forgotten by time. See it, quiet and still. Fire pits, half buried in weeds, dotted the ground, and the air held a faint mustiness like the earth was reclaiming its own. Smell it, heavy and old. It felt perfect, a hidden gem that made us feel like explorers, feel the thrill of discovery. This is it, Andy said. his grin wide. And we all agreed, our voices buzzing with excitement. Hear them, alive with possibility. We set up our tents, Andy and I in one, Steve and Kathy in the other. Our hands working in sync, the act of building our temporary home a ritual of joy. See the tents rise, bright against the green. We gathered firewood, the snap of branches, echoing in the quiet, and as the sun dipped low, we felt like we'd claimed this piece of the wild for ourselves. But what if it's claimed you? Picture a night so perfect it feels like a dream, the kind you never want to wake from. That first night in Ocala was magic, a bubble of warmth and laughter sealed against the world. Step into it, feel its glow. We lit a campfire, the flames dancing like spirits, their light casting soft shadows on our faces. See them flicker, alive and warm. The scent of burning wood filled the air, wrapping us in a cozy embrace. Breathe it in, let it soothe you. We cracked open a few beers, the cold cans sweating in our hands just enough to loosen our tongues. Feel the buzz, light and free. Kathy hooked her portable speaker to her phone, and soon music floated through the clearing, soft but vibrant. Hear it, a heartbeat in the night. We danced around the fire, our movements clumsy but joyful, our laughter rising into the starlit sky. See us dorks in the firelight. Steve spun Kathy, her hair catching the glow, while Andy pulled me close, his arms a safe harbor. Feel his warmth, steady and sure. We told stories, silly ones from college, spooky ones from childhood, our voices weaving a tapestry of memories. Listen to them, bright and fleeting. The forest seemed to listen too, its trees standing silent, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. Feel their presence, quiet but watchful. We stayed up late, the fire crackling, the night stretching endlessly before us. Lose yourself in it, timeless and perfect. I fell asleep next to Andy, his steady breathing a lullaby, my heart full of gratitude. Sleep, feel the peace. This was the best weekend ever, I thought. The forest our sanctuary. But what if it's a lie? Have you ever woken to a nightmare so real it chokes you, its terror sinking into your bones? I don't know what time it was, but I jolted awake, my heart pounding, the air thick with a smell that didn't belong. Smell it. Smoke. Heavy and wrong. Not the cozy scent of our campfire, but something darker, more ravenous. Feel it sting your lungs. I opened my eyes, peering through the tent flap, and my blood ran cold. See it now, a wall of fire. Flames roared beyond the trees, a towering inferno of orange and red, devouring the forest like a living beast. Here, it roared, relentless. The heat pressed against the tent, the smoke burning my eyes, and panic seized me. Feel it claw your chest. I shook Andy awake, my voice a scream. Fire! Wake up! There's a fire! Hear the desperation. He bolted upright, his face paling as he saw the blaze. See his fear, raw and real. We scrambled out, barefoot, half blind in the smoke, the heat searing our skin. Feel it burn, urgent and cruel. We ran to Steve and Kathy's tent, my hands slapping the fabric, my voice hoarse. Get up. We have to go. Shout with me. Feel the urgency. They stumbled out, eyes wide with confusion, then terror as they saw the flames. See their shock. Feel it mirror yours. The fire was everywhere, closing in on three sides, a trap with only one escape, a patch of woods behind us, still untouched. See it, your only hope. I grabbed my phone and wallet. Andy snatched his flashlight, and Steve and Kathy clutched whatever they could. Feel the chaos, the rush. We left everything. Tents, bags, food, abandoned to the flames. Run, don't look, back. We plunged into the woods, the darkness swallowing us, Andy's flashlight bouncing wildly, barely lighting the way. See the beam, frantic and weak. Roots snagged my feet, branches scratched my arms, and the smoke followed, thick and choking. Feel your lungs burn, your eyes sting. Kathy coughed behind me, her breaths ragged, while Steve urged us on, his voice sharp with fear. Hear him desperate. The fire's glow chased us, a monstrous orange light seeping through the trees. See it, feel it hunt you. My legs shook, my bare feet bleeding on rocks, but I ran, driven by a primal need to survive. Feel the terror, raw and consuming. My mind raced. How did this happen? Was it our campfire? Something else? Question it, feel the doubt. There was no time to think, only to run, praying for a road, a town, anything safe. Keep moving, don't stop. The forest felt alive, its shadows twisting, its air heavy with menace. Feel it watching, waiting. We were prey, fleeing a beast we couldn't outrun. Run faster, feel the fear. What if the nightmare you're fleeing leads you straight into a worse one? Just when I thought the fire was our only enemy, they appeared. Figures emerging from the darkness, blocking our path. See them, sudden and wrong. Their faces were hidden behind cloth masks, painted with grotesque patterns, eye holes ringed in black. Feel your stomach drop. There were 5, maybe 6, their silhouettes jagged in the firelight. Count them. Feel their threat. Some held baseball bats, others belts, one swinging a chain that glinted cruelly. See it flash. Feel its menace. They moved fast, too fast, closing in before we could react. Freeze. Feel the trap. One grabbed my hair, yanking me back, my scalp burning as I fell. Feel the pain, sharp and sudden. A bat struck my ribs, the agony exploding through me, stealing my breath. Curl up, feel the hurt. I tried to shield myself, but a kick to my stomach doubled me over, my vision blurring. See the stars, feel the nausea. Andy's voice cut through, shouting my name, but a chain whipped across his back, dropping him to his knees. See him fall. Feel your heart break. Steve tried to protect Kathy, his arm raised, but a bat cracked his shoulder, and he crumpled. Hear her sob. Feel her despair. Kathy pulled at him, tears streaming, but the blows kept coming, relentless. Feel the chaos, the violence. Their words were worse than the pain, vile, sickening threats that turned my blood to ice. Hear them, cruel and twisted. They promised death, torment, things I can't repeat, their voices dripping with glee. Feel the terror, absolute. It wasn't just a beating. They wanted us to suffer, to beg, cower, feel their power. My arm throbbed, maybe broken, my legs bloodied from falls, but the fear was deeper, a certainty we wouldn't survive. Feel it grip you, cold and final. Then it hit me. They'd set the fire, herded us into this trap like animals. Realize it. Feel the betrayal. It felt like hours, but it was minutes, each second an eternity of pain and fear. Lose time. Feel the endlessness. We tried to run, dodging between trees, their laughter chasing us. Hear it, mocking and cruel. Andy grabbed my hand, pulling me up, and we bolted blind in the dark. Run with us. Feel the desperation. Steve and Kathy were behind, their gasps and cries a lifeline. Hear them, faint but alive. Then suddenly the attackers stopped, their shouts turning to panic. Hear the shift, feel the confusion. Something had scared them, something had scared them, something worse than their own cruelty. What was it? Feel the unknown. A bear? A rival gang? We didn't wait to find out. Run, don't look back. Can you outrun a nightmare? Or does it follow you forever? We kept running, tripping over roots, the forest thinning until we burst onto a road, panting, bleeding, broken. Feel the relief, fragile and fleeting. We were a mess, clothes torn, bruises blooming, barefoot and shaking. See us, shattered but alive. We stumbled into a small town, finding the sheriff's office collapsing through the door. Feel the exhaustion, the safety. The sheriff's shock mirrored our own, his eyes wide as he handed us water. Drink it. Feel it soothe. We told him everything. The fire, the masked men, their threats. My voice trembling, barely coherent. Speak. Feel the weight. The cops checked. The site, finding our camp reduced to ash, the forest scarred by flames. See the ruin, feel the loss. No trace of the attackers, no clue who they were. Feel the mystery, heavy and unresolved. At the hospital we were patched up, our wounds cleaned, but the scars ran deeper. Feel them raw and lasting. I haven't slept right since. My dreams haunted by fire and masked faces. See them, feel them chase you. Andy wakes sweating. Kathy says Steve's gone quiet. Each of us broken in our own way. Feel the trauma, shared but lonely. We wonder what scared those men. What lurked in the woods worse than them. Question it, feel the fear. I used to love camping, the wild my refuge, but now it terrifies me. Feel the loss, sharp and final. Be careful out there. Tell someone your plans. Avoid remote places. Don't trust abandoned sites. Heed the warning. Feel its truth. This was the worst night of my life, a nightmare I wouldn't wish on anyone. Will you risk the woods knowing what hides within? Have you ever felt the promise of a perfect summer, only to sense a shadow lurking beneath its light? In the warm August of 1982, the Johnson family set out from their quiet home in West Bank, Canada, their hearts full of anticipation. Step into their journey, feel its joyful pulse. Bob and Jackie Johnson, both in their 40s, led the way, their daughters Janet, 13, and Karen, 11, bubbling with excitement. See their radiant smiles, carefree and alive. Jackie's parents, George and Edith Bentley, joined them, eager for a family. Adventure in Wells Gray Provincial Park, British Columbia. Feel the warmth of their togetherness, a bond unbreakable. They chose Bear Creek, a serene spot near a gentle stream, its waters shimmering under the sun, with the ruins of an old penitentiary standing silently nearby. Breathe in the scent of pine, see the creek sparkle. With a small canoe for paddling and a camper van loaded with supplies, food, water, medical kits, they were prepared for 2 weeks of wilderness bliss. The Johnsons were seasoned campers, their love for the outdoors a thread woven through their lives. Picture their confidence, steady as the earth beneath them. But what if the forest hides a darkness that no preparation can defy? Bob, a lumber worker with hands toughened by years of labor, knew the wild like a second home. Feel his strength, grounded and sure. Jackie, a devoted mother, planned every detail, her laughter a melody that lifted her daughter's spirits. Hear her voice, warm and inviting. Janet and Karen, inseparable sisters, dreamed of exploring the creek, their chatter filled with plans for fishing and canoeing. See them run, their energy boundless and free. George and Edith, with decades of stories to share, looked forward to quiet evenings by the campfire, their presence a gentle anchor. Feel their contentment, deep and soft. The camper van became their haven, rolling into Bear Creek with tires crunching on gravel, the forest opening like a green cathedral to welcome them. See the camp take shape, a sanctuary of joy. They pitched tents, unpacked supplies, and set the canoe by the water, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. But what if this paradise is a trap, its beauty a lure for something sinister? Can you imagine a silence so heavy it screams of loss? On August 16, 1982, the workers at Gorman Brothers Lumber noticed an empty space where Bob Johnson should have been. Feel the unease, a quiet ripple spreading. Bob, 44, was not the type to miss a shift. his absence a jarring note in the rhythm of their work. See his vacant desk, stark and unsettling. His manager, aware of the camping trip to Wells Gray, gave him a few days, but worry began to take root. Feel it grow, cold and persistent. Calls to the Johnson home went unanswered, the phone's silence louder than any voice. Hear the unanswered ring, hollow and haunting. A week later, with concern swelling into dread, Bob's boss contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Feel the urgency, sharp as a blade. Search teams descended on Bear Creek, their footsteps heavy, their eyes scanning the forest's secrets, but found no trace, no van, no boat, no family. See the deserted camp, eerily still. Feel the void. Weeks stretched into a torment of fruitless searches, hope dwindling like a candle in a storm. Feel it waver, fragile and fading. Then, on September 13th, 1982, a mushroom picker wandered into a clearing 13 miles from Bear Creek, near a rugged logging road, and froze. See a burned-out car, its frame twisted and black. The vehicle, scorched skeleton, bore in chilling resemblance to the Johnsons' family car. RCMP officers arrived, their faces set in grim resolve, and peered inside. Feel your heart falter. In the back seat they found bones, charred, piled carelessly, a sight that turned their stomachs to ice. See the remains. Feel the horror. Carefully, collected, bagged, and sent for analysis, the bones delivered a devastating truth. Bob, Jackie, Janet, Karen, George, and Edith, all gone, their lives snuffed out in a blaze of cruelty. Feel the grief, overwhelming and raw. What do you do when the truth hides in shadows, taunting you with fragments? The RCMP threw themselves into a dogged investigation, knocking doors on doors, chasing every lead, no matter how faint. Feel their tenacity, fierce but weary. A local resident offered a memory. The Johnsons had camped at a site far from Bear Creek, a detail that sent searchers to a new location. See it, isolated and foreboding. There they found nicks of evidence, beer, caps Bob drank, scattered like breadcrumbs, and 6.22 caliber bullet casings glinting coldly in the dirt. Feel their significance, heavy and damning. Yet the camper van camp, a vital piece of the puzzle, remained elusive, lost in the vast wilderness. Feel its absence, a wound that festers. The investigation stalled, months dragging by like a slow bleed of hope. Feel the despair, bitter and relentless. In April 1983, a television network aired a chilling reenactment of the murders, filmed at the crime scene, the actors' faces mirroring the Johnsons' last moments. See the images, feel their weight. Calls flooded police lines, tips from across Canada, but each led to a dead end. Feel the frustration, sharp and unending. In a bold move, the RCMP crafted a replica of the Johnsons' Ford camper van, complete with the aluminum boat strapped to its roof, and drove it from British Columbia to Quebec, a rolling plea for answers. See it move. A ghost on the road. Over 300 sightings were reported, but all were false. Mistakes or cruel hoaxes. Feel the hope die, crushed beneath lies. Then, in October 1983, two forestry workers stumbled upon the camper van near Trophy Mountain, 15 miles from the murder site. Its frame scorched by gasoline and desperation. See it smolder. Feel the betrayal. Can you face a monster who walks among us, his evil cloaked in normalcy? The camper's discovery narrowed the hunt. A killer knew Trophy Mountain's hidden paths, a local with dark secrets. Feel the suspicion, cold and precise. A resident's tip changed everything. David Shearing, 24, had asked about repairing a car door and re-registering a vehicle. Questions too close to the murder's timing. Hear the revelation. Feel its weight. Living just 3 miles from Bear Creek, Shearing was arrested in Kamloops on a minor charge, his calm smile a chilling mask. See his face, deceptively plain. Detectives Mike Eastham and Ken Lebo wove a careful trap, lulling Shearing into comfort with small talk. Feel their strategy, sharp and patient. He spoke freely, no lawyer present, blind to the net closing around him. Step into it, feel the snare. Then he faltered, mentioning Bear Creek, a detail, never publicized. Hear the slip, feel the trap snap shut. Hours of pressure broke him, and Shearing confessed. He shot Bob, Jackie, George, and Edith by the campfire, then Janet and Karen in their tent, claiming he wanted their belongings. Feel the horror, sick and overwhelming. He handed over his .22 Remington rifle, its casings matching the crime scene, and described the cars burning, the flames fed by gasoline. See them rise. Feel their malice. What if the truth is a darkness too vile to comprehend? Shearing pleaded guilty to 6 counts of second-degree murder, his voice devoid of remorse as he recounted the slaughter. Hear him, cold and hollow. But Eastham knew he hid more, a deeper evil beneath his words. Feel the detective's resolve, unyielding. In a later interrogation, Shearing revealed the unimaginable. He'd watched the Johnsons for days, consumed by depraved thoughts about Janet and Karen. Feel the revulsion, raw and sickening. He killed the adults in cold blood, deceived the girls with lies of safety, and took them to a fishing shack, then his farm, where he enacted horrors before shooting them execution style. See their fear, feel their end. On April 27, 1984, Justice Harry McKay sentenced him to 6 life terms. No parole for 25 years, a historic verdict. Feel the justice, heavy but incomplete. The carved initials, DS and JJ, found in the shack, framed in a crude heart shape, became a symbol of his sickness. See them, feel the violation. Shearing's parole attempts failed, his darkness confined, but the forest at Bear Creek holds its secrets, whispering of a tragedy that scars us still. Hear it, will you listen to its call? You've heard them now. 10 chilling true stories that leave behind more than just goosebumps. They leave questions, doubts, and that uneasy feeling that maybe something's watching. Because real horror doesn't ask for permission. It appears in everyday places at unexpected times and to people just like you. What happened in these stories could happen again, might already be happening somewhere, right now. If you felt a chill, looked over your shoulder, or checked the lock twice during this video, you're not alone. And if you want to hear what else the darkness is hiding, we'll be here. More stories are waiting. More truths too disturbing for daylight. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back. Because the next story might be the one you didn't know you were a part of. Until it's too late.